This is a Kai Fox with a digital painting this time. This is a very silly and somewhat special digital work. So you may ask, why a goat? Why does it have its butt showing? And the answer is kind of complicated. I obviously stream on Twitch, and my community was making some silly remarks about goats as I did a painting for someone that had goats way off in the distance. They weren't the main focal point by any means, and so I didn't give them much detail, and they had little X's for their butts. And there's a few members of the community that thought that this was especially silly and wanted to have goat butts as some sort of emote. So here we are. It is just after April Fool's, and a couple years in the making of doing these April Fool's Day projects, we have somewhat kept the theme of butts. I have waffle butts. The first ones we ever made were actually our faceless Shrek stickers, which is also a whole nother story, but point being is we've continued now and added in this goat butt. Goats are not something that I have much skill or expertise or practice in creating, so I'm really pleased. I know this isn't perfect by any means, and I probably could have done a little bit better job, but for where I'm at in my art and knowing that this is a hobby and something that I'm slowly learning to improve my skills, and by doing so I'm doing these videos, I'm overall pretty pleased with how the layout and how it turned out overall. So anyway, here's me basically just shading it in. I wanted a nice brown goat. I didn't feel like having a gray goat really was what I was looking for, so I wanted some warm tones, and I wanted to just make it look somewhat annoyed because it's for April Fools, and why not? So, but I wanted a fluffy tail, so I wanted something that had that underside, and so this is us coloring it. Now, I will share a story as we wrap up the shading process here, that growing up, I had neighbors who had goats, and I would try to make friends with them through the fence. I was always a kid who, if there's an animal, I want to pet it, I want to be its friend, and so I tried so hard to be friends with these goats, and these goats didn't want anything to do with this girl trying to do things over the fence. I never really had food. I didn't have permission to feed the goats that my neighbors had, and you know, it was frustrating for sure. But I will say that I actually became very afraid and didn't want anything more to do with the goats after my sister's dog that we were watching at the time one morning got out. As I was waiting for the bus, I got the terrible displeasure of hearing what a goat sounds like when it's screaming. My sister's dog, Sparkles, at the time, which one of my nieces had named, had gotten out. She was some sort of husky mix, and unfortunately had gotten a hold of the goat and was not doing very kind things to said goat. I immediately ran and got a hold of my mom, and you know, we went and got a hold of our dog, and luckily the goat was okay, but definitely was a scary experience. I ended up missing school that day, and so my experience with goats was forever somewhat marred. I just chose to stay away from them at that point, and they've not really been an animal that I actively seek to engage with anymore. If I see a horse or, you know, a cow or something of that nature, then I'll definitely do that. But yeah, so this is how it turned out. I'm pretty happy with it overall. If you liked this video, please don't forget to leave a like. And if you'd like to see more, you can always see more through my YouTube channel or check me out at twitch.tv/akaifox. Thank you.